The Buccaneers look to get back in the win column while the Niners eagerly await the return of their superstar. That and more on today's Crossover Thursday episodes of Locked On 49ers and Locked On Bucs.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, and welcome into a Crossover Thursday episode of Locked On 49ers and Locked On Bucs, your daily podcasts covering the San Francisco 49ers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We want to thank you so much for making these shows your first listener view every single day. Don't forget you can subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. And of course, you can follow along on Twitter. I am James Yarko, the host of Locked On Bucs at JYarko_Bucs, joined by Brian Peacock, one of the hosts of Locked On 49ers. He is at BD Peacock, and these shows are here with you every Monday through Friday, along with our everydayers. And for that, we want to share our appreciation for your continued support of the show. Crossover Thursday is presented by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL, all lowercase, to win $50 instantly when you play $5. The Buccaneers are looking to get out of this losing streak that they are in. And of course, keys to the game are all coming up in a little bit. But Brian, let's kick things off with the 49ers side of the ball, or side of this game. And look, the Niners aren't quite what a lot of people expected them to be coming into the season. They've had their own injury issues to deal with, but it looks like one of those injury issues is coming to an end. But why don't you let us know what the biggest story is on the offensive side of the ball for San Francisco?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest story clearly is the potential return of Christian McCaffrey. His practice window has been open. And look, the way Christian McCaffrey's wired and the fact that they opened his practice window, he's technically limited at practice on Wednesday. And so we'll see how that goes throughout the week with the Achilles tendonitis. But if Christian McCaffrey's practicing, he's playing. And that's the way I'm going to approach this thing and I'm sure that's the way the Buccaneers are approaching this until there is word that he's in fact not playing and is not activated, but I do expect Christian McCaffrey to be back this week. And so we'll see if that's the way things go. The injury list still long for the San Francisco 49ers. Juwan Jennings on there as well, dealing with a hip injury. So a lot of guys still limited coming off of the bye week, but well rested. And I think they're going to get a lot of folks back. And so Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield with what he can do. Deebo Samuel's been dealing with a rib and oblique. So really the bye week came at a great time for the 49ers in week 9. And we know how big of a difference Christian McCaffrey makes and how much gravity he has with how much pressure he puts on defenses and how much focus defenses have to have when he's in the game. And Kyle Shanahan loves when Christian McCaffrey's in the game because it keeps the entire playbook open. You can run, you can pass. And that's why he likes Kyle Juszczyk at fullback. He likes to be able to say, I can do anything. I can motion guys around and we can run and we can pass, and you got to respect it all.
Yeah, I mean, and Christian McCaffrey obviously is a player that the Bucs are more than familiar with because before he's in San Francisco, the Bucs had to face him twice a year. And overall, they've done a generally decent job of containing him, but in this Shanahan offense, he's a completely different monster. Now, of course, there's no Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, that was, of course, a never-ending story in the offseason. And then it seemed like he finally got his big contract, finally got his deal, didn't quite live up to it through the season. And I don't know, you would obviously know better than I would if that was situational, if he just wasn't getting enough opportunities. But you still have plenty of threats on the offensive side of the ball. You mentioned Juszczyk, who's so much fun to watch when your team isn't facing him, but of course George Kittle and Deebo Samuel and then, as you mentioned, like McCaffrey, he changes everything that can be done with his innate ability to run the ball, to make plays as a pass catcher, and just be that everyman for the 49ers.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you can go wide back with Deebo Samuel and Juwan Jennings, really underrated player around the league, and he went huge when he had the opportunity early this year and kind of broke out in his own right and put himself on the fantasy football map. And it's hard when you're the wide receiver 3 and the 49ers offense with so many mouths to feed. You don't have a lot of those big games statistically. And then there's the rookie Ricky Pearsall, first-round pick, and he got his first catch in the NFL a couple of weeks ago after he was activated and not only dealing with the shoulder all summer long, but then gets shot of all things. And so, I mean, it's just insane what some of these teams are dealing with and what the 49ers have dealt with from an injury standpoint. And at one point, a couple weeks ago against the Cowboys, the Cowboys kicker had jury duty, and Deebo Samuel had he had, I don't even remember what he had now. He had what did he have? I don't know. It was just like stuff that you just don't see. And now he's dealing with a rib thing, and Deebo Samuel's always got something. But yeah, multifaceted offense, and George Kittle, obviously good in the run game, good in the pass game, and that's exactly how Kyle Shanahan wants it. And Christian McCaffrey coming back obviously gives the Niners a huge boost. Christian McCaffrey, I think you probably appreciate it going against him twice a year and watching him closely. And it's something I didn't appreciate as much until he came over to the 49ers and started watching him more closely, is the attention to detail. And he really wins in the inches, in the margins of a play. And he's where he needs to be on a run. He knows exactly what hip to be off of. The offensive lineman's got great vision. And obviously he's an athletic guy, but how hard he runs, how much each yard matters has really been fun to watch. And you knew he was good, but you really understand why he's so good the more you watch him play.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And of course, fantasy football players are rejoicing that a lot of these people are finally going to have McCaffrey back. I wouldn't expect a full workload for him right out of the gate, but he's still going to have an impact when he's on the field. But let's flip sides now, talk about that defense. Baker Mayfield has an incredible ability to escape pressure, escape sacks, but when you're staring at a guy like Bosa and you got a guy like Fred Warner, and you have a defense that is so good and has led this team for the past couple of years, what's the biggest story there on the defensive side of the ball heading into this matchup with the Bucs?
Yeah, the defense has been an interesting unit because I don't think they've played as well as maybe expected. Fred Warner was, he's still the number one graded linebacker in the NFL according to Pro Football Focus, and he was in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation for the first few weeks. Kind of hurt his ankle, so again, bye week at a good time. He's going to be back in 100%, I'm sure, out there, and he's not on the injury report right now for the 49ers. So he's in good shape right now for the 49ers, and he's a difference-making player in the middle of the field. They haven't had Dre Greenlaw, so they've had Devondre Campbell. They've had D Winters in there at linebacker. So that's a place where teams have targeted in the passing game. The other linebacker that's not wearing number 54. And the defensive line has been okay aside from Nick Bosa, but not really difference making. And it hasn't been the difference making defensive line that the 49ers have really had in the entire Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch era since they drafted Nick Bosa and started going to Super Bowls in 2019. And so they added a player at the deadline to maybe give them more depth, but it's really Bosa and kind of some mediocrity on the 49ers defensive line. And they're fine players. They're pros and they're not problems, but they're just not making a big difference across from Bosa. So I would expect Bosa, who lines up a little bit more on the left side of the defense, to get probably some help from maybe some Cade Otton chips and Gadecki. You pronounce it Gadecki, right?
Yes.
Gadecki. Okay. He's a good player. Gadecki. Okay. Gadecki. Yeah. I've always gotten that wrong ever since the draft process, and I say it different every time. And so, okay, Gadecki. It's good to know exactly how to pronounce that one. And Bosa will probably see Tristan Wirfs a little bit too, but he lines up a little bit more on the left side, and I'm sure he'll get some help because you're not worried Wirfs going one-on-one against Leonard Floyd, even though Leonard Floyd's a good player, and those will be some good matchups in the middle of the defensive line as well. And the 49ers, I think the big story actually with the 49ers defense is on the back end. And Deommodore Lenoir has been one of the better cornerbacks probably in the league and definitely on the 49ers. And they've had a pair of young safeties step up with Talanoa Hufanga out. Rookie Mustafa, 4th rounder, and then the 3rd round rookie Jair Brown from last year have been pretty good for the 49ers, but they don't have a ton of speed. So you might try to hit one over the top, maybe a slot fade or something like that if you are Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. But the secondary, even though young, has been a pretty good unit.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the Bucs had some receivers to go against those guys, it might be a little bit more of a story. But we are going to talk more about the Buccaneers side coming up in a little bit because there's no Mike Evans, there's no Chris Godwin. What exactly are the Bucs going to do? We're going to tell you next on this Crossover Thursday episode of Locked On 49ers and Locked On Bucs. Pre-alcohol probiotic drink by Z-Biotics is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. Here's how to use it. Step 1, drink pre-alcohol. For best results, make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Step 2, drink responsibly. Pace yourself, hydrate, get a good night's sleep. Step 3, enjoy tomorrow. Wake up feeling refreshed and ready to take on the day. Go to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use LockedOnNFL at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/LockedOnNFL and use code LockedOnNFL at checkout for 15% off. Thank you again for making Locked On 49ers and Locked On Bucs your first listen review every single day. Talking about the Buccaneers side of the ball now, and this offense is in shambles. Yet somehow they continue to compete. I don't understand it. I guess it's the will of Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield did not participate in their walkthrough on Wednesday. He's dealing with a toe injury. You don't have Mike Evans until probably after the bye week. You don't have Chris Godwin the rest of the year. Their number 3 receiver, Jalen McMillan, is dealing with a hamstring injury. It's insane. But yet this is the Bucs offense that went toe-to-toe with the 49ers. So the biggest question is, how can they continue to overcome these injuries and try to compete with an offense that likely will have the return of Christian McCaffrey and are likely going to put up a lot of points? And so the biggest story on the offensive side of the ball is the emergence of Cade Otton. Cade Otton has been an absolute stud for this offense. He has led the team in receiving for the last 3 weeks. He's the first tight end in Buccaneers history to have 8 or more receptions in 3 consecutive weeks. And if you think about that, Cameron Brate wasn't really a household name, but that was a pretty legit tight end that the Bucs had for quite a while. But this was a team that had Gronk. Not just Gronk, but Brady throwing to Gronk. And he didn't even have a stretch of 3 consecutive games with 8 receptions or more. So Cade Otton is pretty much the offense for this Buccaneers team right now. You have Sterling Shepard, and that Oklahoma connection with Baker is pretty strong. You have Trey Palmer, which, as you mentioned, there's the speed for the Buccaneers that can kind of take the top off the defense, but still only a couple of catches against the Chiefs. Then you have Marquez Callaway, who was active, but you didn't really see him. He didn't get any targets on Monday night against the Chiefs. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Liam Cohen is going to be able to navigate all of these injuries, especially now when you have Baker dealing with one.
So who's going to line up at receiver then? Because isn't Sterling Shepard also dinged up for the Buccaneers offense? Like what kind of, outside of Cade Otton, like who's getting the targets on the outside?
Yeah, I mean, Sterling Shepard also, he didn't participate in practice on Wednesday. He's dealing with a hip and a hamstring injury. Not sure how severe that is. That's one that I'm going to have to, everybody should probably monitor that one moving forward the rest of the week. If he doesn't practice on Thursday, that's when things are going to get real sticky. So you have Ryan Miller, who caught the touchdown at the end of the game against the Chiefs. You have Rakim Jarrett, who is a guy that this Buccaneers team, the coaches, the front office, they're really high on. He missed a big chunk of time with injury. He's only been active for a couple of weeks, but he's made some absolutely incredible catches, had a huge catch and run against the Chiefs as the Bucs were battling back in that one. So you have Jarrett, you have Miller, you have Trey Palmer, you have Marquez Callaway. And then if you don't have Sterling Shepard, that's it. That's all you got. You got those 4. And you're hoping for the best. So it's going to be a heavy dose of Cade Otton. It's going to be a heavy dose of Rashad White and Bucky Irving out of the backfield. You might see Payne Durham, their other tight end, get a little bit more involved, but they're barely keeping their heads above water with these wide receiver injuries.
The Cade Otton emergence is fun. Baker Mayfield is a really good quarterback matchup, actually. Two highly graded quarterbacks. Looking at the PFF numbers right now, they're both good under pressure. They're both good clean. Big time throw percentages are high for both of these quarterbacks, even though Brock Purdy doesn't get the credit he deserves for some of his big time throws that he makes. And for a while, Brock Purdy was the highest graded quarterback in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus. But and clearly Baker Mayfield has guts, and that's something that Brock Purdy has as well. So this is a really fun quarterback matchup, and you the way you laid it out there, and I know that the Bucs have had some struggles on defense too. How did this team take the Kansas City Chiefs to overtime? How do they go toe to toe? Is there just a little extra gumption with this team, even though they're kind of outmanned right now with all the injuries?
As bad as the defense has been, the defense showed up for most of that Chiefs game, and they did a really, really good job of containing what Mahomes and the rest of the crew was able to do. And it was a lot of bend, don't break. They were giving up yards in chunks and letting the Chiefs move down the field, but then they kind of clamped down, and there were a couple of plays that they left on the field that could have prevented a score. But it's really been the ability of Baker Mayfield and Liam Cohen to draw up the right calls at the right times. Liam Cohen has been absolutely next level incredible, to the point that, I mean, if Dave Canales got a head coaching offer for what he did with the Bucs last year, albeit not a very good head coaching offer, but that's neither here nor there. The Bucs are in severe danger of losing Liam Cohen in the offseason. So this is a team that they have no quit. They are not going to walk into any game, regardless of who's missing, and say, you know what, we're just not going to win this game. We just don't have the horses to keep up. So they're going to walk into Ray J on Sunday with every intention of saying, we can beat this football team. I'm not so sure that they can, given how Shanahan just absolutely shreds zone defenses, and the middle of the field against this Buccaneers defense is nothing but wide open space. It's going to be real tough for this offense to try to keep up.
I mean, and that's where Kyle Shanahan attacks. I mean, he's going to put your linebackers in a blender and attack the middle of the football field. So is that the path that you expect to see in this game from the 49ers offense?
Oh, absolutely. I expect this to be a huge Kittle game because of the struggles on defense. And really the big thing for this Bucs defense is, can you be more opportunistic than you were Monday night? Because you're going to have Kittle over the middle. You're going to have McCaffrey sitting down and waiting for those dump offs. You're going to have Deebo. Antoine Winfield Jr. had a perfect opportunity to intercept a pass that was going to DeAndre Hopkins, and he stood there and he waited on it. Instead of high pointing it, instead of attacking it, he stood there and waited, turned into a reception for D-Hop. A couple plays later, they're in the end zone for a touchdown also to D-Hop. So the path to victory for this Bucs team, I don't expect them to, contain San Francisco to 20 or fewer points. They really haven't done that to anyone this season. They have to win the turnover battle. So you're looking to guys like Zion McCollum, Antoine Winfield Jr., Kalijah Cansey, Vita Vea. They have to force the issue, because the only way that you're going to really get off the field defensively is if you take the ball away, not if you're forcing a punt.
I love the combination, the way I geek out on team building, and I love having two guys in the middle of a defensive line. One guy's the biggest guy in the league, and the other guy's the smallest guy in the league. It's kind of cartoonish, and I just like it. It's like you want to know exactly what you're getting. You're getting a little quick guy, and you're getting a big, strong guy, and then Yaya Diaby was an interesting player that we looked a lot at in the draft, because I thought the 49ers might be going, third round type of pass rusher that year. And then I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit because of athletic freaks in their particular draft. I really liked Zion McCollum. I liked him better than Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen had the great rookie season. I was like, oh, maybe I got that wrong. And it took Zion McCollum a little while, and he's really coming into his own for the Buccaneers defense.
Yeah, 100%. We actually had Zion's college coach on Locked On Bucs after he was drafted, and he flat out told us, he said, look, it might take a year and a half, but one day you're going to see Zion on the field and something is going to click with him. And as soon as it clicks, game is over. And he's going to be one of the best players on your defense. And sure enough, it clicked for him last year. He had to fill in for Carlton Davis, had to fill in for Jamel Dean, and that experience gave the Bucs the confidence to trade away Carlton Davis to the Detroit Lions. And now McCollum is one of the top-rated corners, according to Pro Football Focus. He was the number one corner for a long stretch this season. I think I saw against the Chiefs, he allowed 0.16 yards per defensive snap. As far as his coverage against the Chiefs. So yeah, McCollum, you nailed that one, Brian. Pat yourself on the back. Zion McCollum is absolutely fantastic. But
I'm actually looking at it right now. He is still the number one ranked corner, 86.9 grade at PFF. There's a lot of number ones. I talked about Fred Warner. Bosa's a top 5 guy. George Kittle, number 1 tight end grade as well. So there's some high grades in this game, according to Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be an interesting matchup, but what are the keys to victory for both of these teams? And is Todd Bowles really going to finally get his first win against Shanahan? That is coming up next on this Crossover Thursday episode of Locked On Bucs and Locked On 49ers. Ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. The Buccaneers are 5.5-point home underdogs against the San Francisco 49ers with an over-under of 50.5. If you want to get in on the NFL action early, the Baltimore Ravens are 6.5-point home favorites over the Cincinnati Bengals with an over-under of 52.5. The Chiefs remain the Super Bowl favorites at plus 370, followed by the Lions at plus 500, Ravens at plus 750, and the Bills at plus 850. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports because unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. It's the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players leaves in the first half and doesn't return. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Wrapping things up here on a Crossover Thursday, and Crossover Thursday is presented by PrizePicks. Go to PrizePicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use code LockedOnNFL, all lowercase, to win $50 instantly when you play $5. So we have the Bucs, we have the Niners, and I don't want to speak for all Buccaneers fans, but I know in my heart, I have a soft spot for the 49ers, excuse me, because of my never-ending love for John Lynch. He was one of my favorite players when I was a kid growing up watching the game. I love the success that he has had as a general manager. I think he's done a great job. So when they're not playing the Bucs, I always pull for the Niners, and I want to see John Lynch succeed as much as humanly possible. But taking a look at this game, could be getting McCaffrey back. You have Warner who's getting healthy. It's kind of tough when you're going on the road from the West Coast to the East Coast, especially with a 1:00 kickoff. But what are the keys to victory for the 49ers in this one?
Yeah, and look, John Lynch GMs with the same aggression that he played safety with too. And so it's been fun to watch it. Just a quick funny story. When he was hired, I went scouring. I was like, there must be another executive around the NFL that has the name John Lynch, because it's not the TV safety guy, right? That couldn't be it. And it turns out, no, it was actually John Lynch. And it turned out to be a fantastic hire for the 49ers. He's been really good working hand in hand with Kyle Shanahan. I don't know if Todd Bowles is going to get that win over Kyle Shanahan in this one. And I don't know if it's necessarily an X's and O's thing, although it's funny that Kyle Shanahan really has people's number and does really good jobs against certain coaches. And then some coaches have his number and he always struggles against them. And it's really interesting how that works. And it tends to always work out that way. And so we'll see if it continues to go that way. But for the 49ers, I do expect, even though it's an East Coast game and an early start and some travel, they're coming off a bye, short week for the Bucs. They went into overtime with the Kansas City Chiefs. So I would think that would all nullify and make it a pretty even game, even though it's a road game for the 49ers, since they're well rested and getting some players back and coming off a bye. And Kyle Shanahan, by the way, I think he's only lost one game the last few years in November and has been really good post bye. And really, the 49ers are a couple games away from being 6-2, or a couple plays away from being 6-2 right now. We'll be talking a lot, really, much differently about the 49ers. But I think the path to win for the 49ers is don't do the things that have led to those losses that they should have won earlier on in the season, right? When you've got a team down and you got a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, finish them off. You got to score touchdowns instead of kicking field goals. And this is a team that's kind of struggled in the red zone. I think that's a place where Christian McCaffrey could potentially help, even though, he's not a bulldozing type of running back that you would expect. Oh, you're going to pound the ball into the end zone. He's just really good in tight spaces. And he's also good catching the ball out of the backfield and put stress on a defense. So, that red zone defense, don't get weird and start turning the ball over if you're the 49ers. And I think that's the path to victory because, unfortunately for the Buccaneers, they're just not at full power right now. And you can't take them lightly either, because we saw what they went toe to toe with the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 8-0 right now. And the Chiefs throttled the 49ers just a few weeks ago too. So this is still a good opponent for the 49ers. On paper, I do like the Niners to win this game. And I think for the 49ers, they just have to play their ball. And it really goes beyond just this week. It goes for the season. They need to be the team that they've supposed to be all season long. They've kind of taken one step forward, one step back. After the bye, take a deep breath, reevaluate, and be that team. That's what the 49ers have to do on Sunday.
Yeah, and full disclosure, the time change in the early kickoff, that's more wishful thinking on my part. I don't think it's really going to play into this game at all. But for the Buccaneers, the big keys in this one is they have to run the ball and they have to do it effectively. You have to defend the middle of the field, especially against George Kittle and this Shanahan offense. And then finally, be aggressive. The Bucs have had really good success running the football, especially against some of these top rushing defenses. They outperformed the yards allowed per game from the Baltimore Ravens, and they did it by the beginning of the second quarter. They did it again last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. This week, they're going up against the Niners, another top 10 rush defense. They allowed about 105 rushing yards per game, but you have to pound the rock and control the clock. I have said it week in and week out since Evans and Godwin went down. Those are the keys. You have to control the clock and keep your defense on the sideline for as long as possible. String together these 12, 13, 14 play drives that end in points. As far as the middle of the field, again, it's wishful thinking. KJ Britt has just not been able to develop that part of his game. You saw a lot of JJ Russell coming in for KJ Britt against the Chiefs, and it really still didn't help very much. So you have to find a way to prevent those passes right over the middle of the field from converting on third downs or turning into giant chunk plays with the speed of Deebo or McCaffrey or even Kittle to an extent. And then finally, be aggressive. I mentioned it a little bit ago. The Bucs have to win the turnover battle. If you're going to give yourself a chance, you have to be able to take the ball away. So go for broke. You have to absolutely lay it all out there. And yeah, you might give up a big play, but you have to be aggressive and you have to try to take the football away. Put yourself in a position to make that splash play. And on the offensive side of the ball, air it out. Air it out to Callaway. Air it out to Palmer. Take those deep shots down the field, because it might be an explosive play on either side of the ball that could be the difference between the Bucs losing or the Bucs getting a big upset.
And can I just say, and I'm sure you've talked about this a ton, I don't have a problem with not going for 2 from Todd Bowles. I didn't like the timeout before that, because if the game ends going for 2, you either win or you lose, that's fine. But with 30 seconds and 3 timeouts, if you lose if you don't get the 2, but even if you get the 2, they might still go kick a field goal in regulation to beat you. So that's why I didn't have a problem with not going for 2 there, because it didn't end the game with a win. I didn't like the timeout before that. I just wanted to get that out there, James.
See, and that was how I opened my show afterwards, was you had to go for 2 there. And I ripped Todd Bowles up and down. And then his explanation after the game made it even worse. He said because of the wet conditions, they felt better going to overtime. I'm like, how on earth does that make any sense? You just marched 71 yards in a minute 49, and you had that defense on the ropes. Go for the win. And Bucs fans, by and large, have said they would be more okay with the loss, having gone for 2 and not getting it, than doing what they did. But as far as the timeout, there was a reasoning, and I apologize, I don't remember off the top of my head. Todd did not want to use the timeout there. There was some sort of communication issue or a personnel issue or something where they were forced to call the timeout. He wanted to hold on to it. He wanted to run more time off the clock. And who knows, maybe if he doesn't have to use the timeout there and all of a sudden they score with no time left on the clock, maybe they do go for 2 in that situation. Yep. I don't know. But yeah, I know he said that he was upset that he had to use his timeout because he didn't want to use it there. He wanted to run more time down.
Well, look, if there's one thing that Kyle Shanahan can improve upon, it's game management too. So let's hope it doesn't come down to game mechanics at the end of this one.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for this Crossover Thursday episode of Locked On 49ers and Locked On Bucs. Please make sure you are subscribed on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts to both of these shows. It's always fun to listen to opposing teams, especially when there's not a rivalry. You know, you can kind of check in, see what's going on with some other teams around the NFL. Follow on Twitter. Brian is at BD Peacock. I am at JYarko_Bucs. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you so much for joining us right here on a Crossover Thursday, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.